Welcome to my COVID Diaries. It's April 10th. It's Good Friday. And Good Friday is made all the worse for me because the US stock markets are closed today. And as it is, it's really difficult for me to spend my days in this apartment, in solo isolation. My only contact with the outside world is the occasional food delivery that I go downstairs to get, or walk down to the little convenience store to get something to drink. Other than that, I stay in this apartment for all practical reasons. I even exercise in here. My one relief is the U.S. stock market, which opens at 8:30 p.m. Vietnam time, which is obviously 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time in the U.S. Well, the markets are closed today, and it's now 7:37 in the evening here. This is about the time when I'd be getting ready to start looking at the market. Well, anyway, in my last video, I said I would tell you what it is that I do. Yeah, and I will get to it. But I just want to mention that how difficult this isolation is getting to be for me personally, and I'm sure everyone's in the same boat. You really have to work on your mental stability. Really, I mean, it makes me think of King Lear, where he says, "God, let me not be mad," and that's how I feel. God, let me not be mad. And there's obviously this alcohol that you can consume, but that just exacerbates the problem. So, I haven't been sleeping very well. My eyes have dark circles around them, and when I get really tired, my vision starts to get worse, and I have to wear glasses. Normally, I don't need glasses. I've been tested. I can drive without glasses. I can read perfectly without glasses. But when I get tired and when I've not had enough sleep, my eyes start to fail. So, with all that good news, let's tell you what I do. Well, first, for the past 10 years, every winter, I leave Minnesota probably around Thanksgiving or a little before Thanksgiving, and I return either in April or May from somewhere where I've spent the winter. And I tend to go to places that are obviously warm, and and are places where you might have a pleasurable winter in. This year I'm in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, which was going great until this little pandemic upturned everything. Last winter I went to Argentina. I was in Buenos Aires, did some trekking in Patagonia, which was very nice as well. The winter before then, I was in Taiwan, in Taipei. That was a very nice place to winter. Of course, there's a little matter of some earthquakes, but I guess you can't have everything. So anyway, I've been doing this since 2010, and December 20th of this year will be 10 years when I stopped working in the traditional sense of the word and have been living this life of, I guess we could call it indolent luxury, which means that I travel a lot. As I said, I take a trip in the winter, then I also take a trip in the summer for about a month. This past summer, I went to Europe for a month. The year before that, I went to Portugal for a month. The year before that, I went to Peru. The year before that, I went to Turkey. So that's my life, just traveling and basically having a good time. Now, how do I do that? Well, I'm, for want of a better word, an old-fashioned trader or investor. My personal assets, which are sizable, I manage as a hedge fund manager, and so I always have some long and short positions, and then I manage stuff very actively. So what does that mean? That means I try to earn a living from financial assets, and obviously you can dip into those financial assets, but the aim is to actually increase the value of the financial assets that you're managing, and yet be able to draw off those financial assets to live a good life. And I mean a good life. I don't mean a shoestring existence, but I mean a good life, flying business class at least, staying in nice hotels, renting nice apartments, and really not having to worry about money. And all this is fine and dandy until the stock market decides not to cooperate, which is what has happened since since this pandemic set forth upon us. My portfolio has dropped about. It had dropped at the lowest point. It had dropped about 40%. Since we've had this little rally this past couple of weeks, I've gained back about 20% of that. So I think I'm down about 24-25% from the very height pinnacle that my portfolio hit at the end of February, early March. Now, if I'd sold everything at that point, I would be laughing at everyone, because I would have been a genius. And the thought did cross my mind, because I follow news around the world very closely, and I knew that there was this little virus problem occurring in China, and that it had the potential of getting out of hand. But traders and investors have there's two things that get them: fear and greed. Fear and greed. So the fearful side of me was saying, hey, you should take your profits that you've been on a bull run for almost 10 years. Take your profits and get out. But the greedy side of me said, no, my portfolio's been hitting all-time highs now. I should just let it ride a little more. I will get out. So I took a compromise. When my portfolio was not at the very top, the decline had set in, I sold 1/3 of my positions. So I secured 1/3 of the gains that I had made. But I let the rest ride, and with fairly disastrous results. But I held on, and it started to come back. I've lived through the 2008-2009 fiasco, the 2001 dot-com burst. So I have lived through these things. And if you're able to hang in long enough, it will come back. The only time you have to worry about is if you need that money to live on, and if you have to sell assets that have been devastated just to raise money to live, then that's a problem. Luckily, that wasn't my case. I still had plenty of cash, and I didn't have to rely on liquidating anything to live. So what do? I have long position. I almost entirely trade on the U.S. equities market, and my portfolio is split into several segments. So I have a long portfolio and I have a short portfolio. And in the long portfolio and the short portfolio, I have just straight static equity positions. You own some shares in Amazon or Apple or whatever, and I also have option positions. So I do a lot of option trading, and I always trade options on the short side. I'm a premium seller, never an option buyer. So I have those trades, and then I also have some I trade in the futures. The futures I mostly use as a way to scalp. You sell something, and it goes down a few points, you buy it back, you do it over and over again, and hopefully you've done well enough to make some money. And the other thing that I use with options is to hedge my portfolio. So it's fairly straightforward. You figure out what your long deltas are, and then if you wanna neutralize the risk, maybe you wanna protect half your portfolio, or maybe you want to protect all your portfolio. You just sell the equivalent amount of mini ES 500 futures or NASDAQ, or a combination of, depending on how your portfolio is. So I do that also. And that kind of acts as a drag on your portfolio when the markets are going up. But it's a parachute when the market plunges. So I'm up at night start trading from 8:30 all the way till market close. And so I'm up during the night when most people are sleeping here. But I like it that way. Then I tend to sleep in late. But recently, my physical and mental clock being messed up. It doesn't matter whether I go to bed at 1 o'clock, 1 a.m. or 3 a.m. I just get up at 7:30 or 8, which is just 4 hours of sleep. That's not very good. So I have accounts with E-Trade, with TD Ameritrade, with Schwab. I'm also a private client of Goldman Sachs. That's where I manage my money. And in future episodes of this diary, I will actually talk to you about specific trades that I've made. And I can also teach you some strategies. So that's it for now. I hope you're all doing well and you're keeping sane. And I hope you'll come out all right at the end of this thing.